Good evening, good evening, good evening, and good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you're joining from, but good evening if you're joining from the United Kingdom. And welcome to another Sip and Learn with viSHEbility. My name is Mary Friday, and I am the founder of viSHEbility. And it's always so exciting to be able to do these, what I call capacity building sessions for women across the world, in particular women in the tribe. So if you, a little bit of viSHEbility is the first time you ever joined us for an event. So viSHEbility is a social first organization that is really passionate and working very hard to improve the outcomes for Black women in the marketplace through inspiration, coaching, and community. And we run these events a few times in a month throughout the year, really just to help improve visibility of different women, showcase what they're doing in their workspaces and their businesses, but also to really help share knowledge and build capacity. And so, to that vein, we have a fantastic, a fantastic. I already know it's going to be a fantastic session. I'm just putting out there it's going to be a fantastic session with Tomi of My Career Couch, and she's just such a huge supporter of viSHEbility, and she's always one call away every time we reached out to ask her to do something. She's always been like, yes, yes. She basically leads with the yes as it pertains to everything with us. And it was important. I felt like she was the right voice as it pertained to the topic of today, which is around personal branding. I thought she was the right voice because I kind of feel like last year, kind of Tomi just came from nowhere into my space, but she came.
You know what? I did.
She came in really strong. Someone who is kind of always on the lookout for leading ladies and talent and just people who are always out there killing it in their careers but also giving back. I just felt like I know nothing of where is she coming from, but it was just kind of like but I knew she came in strong. It was very, very clear exactly who she was, what she stood for, and the kind of value that she was looking to serve her clientele, her community with. It was really, really strong. And I think that's really the essence of personal branding, is being, someone who understands their value and can pitch themselves in a way that there is no mistake exactly what that value is and what you're bringing to the table. So I thought she'd be a great person to just give us, a little scoop into this topic of personal branding, specifically brand you, as we call it, and how maybe as she talks about this, how she has created her own personal brand. She's probably going to tell you that she didn't know she had a personal brand, but that's just like whatever. She's going to share some tidbits. So please feel free to hang around, grab a drink, type in your questions in the chat as they come up, and we'll take them at the end. But for now, I'll pass you guys on to Tomi, and I'm going to lean back and disappear from the screen, and she can share her words of wisdom with you guys. So thank you. Hi, Tomi. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Mary. That's such a sweet introduction. I'm just there like, oh. Well, hi, Mary. Hi, viSHEbility. Hello, everyone. As Mary has introduced me, my name is Tomi. And sorry if you see my eyes dancing about. I have two screens, so I always forget where to look. But anyways, let me look here. So anyways, my name is Tomi. I am a chartered HR professional. So that means essentially I have the qualification and I'm licensed to practice both back home, Lagos, Nigeria, and here in the UK. So in Nigeria, we have CIPM, and here it's called CIPD. I have an LLB from the University of Southampton. I was studying law in my undergrad. Absolutely hated it. I'm really sorry to all the lawyers. But then I did a project in human resource management, and I realized that, look, I love this HR thing. So did a quick pivot, did my MSc in HR in LSE, and I've had about 5 years of experience as an HR generalist. So when you're a generalist, basically you're doing everything. So I've had tons of experience in recruitment, end-to-end recruitment, so hiring and firing, performance management, compensation and benefits, HR project management, literally the whole 9 yards when it comes to HR. I currently oversee Europe. Can you hear me? Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, I currently oversee Europe at my office. So I'm the HR advisor for Europe. So we have 2 offices now, London and Norway. I founded My Career Couch in March 2020. And basically, My Career Couch was created to basically create a path that didn't exist for me. So a bit of backstory about me. I was born here in the UK, but I grew up in Lagos, Nigeria. I had no intentions of ever living anywhere else but Lagos. I had Lagosian Nigerian girl through and through. So I came here for A-levels, I did uni, of course, masters, and I quickly ran home when I was done because I was like, that's it with me and this country. But life happens and I moved back to the UK permanently in 2018, and I absolutely struggled to just get into the job market. I struggled to make a name for myself. I just struggled, right? And when I was assessing what was wrong, it was down to three things. I lacked confidence, I lacked a network, and I just didn't have a brand. There was just nobody knew who Tomi was. So there was no reason for anybody to work with Tomi. And I quickly learned that, look, there's a game to be played, especially for us young Black professionals, or when I say young, obviously it's not the age. I usually, when I say young professionals, anytime I mention young professionals, please take it as someone who's early on in the career. So with either no experience or up to like 10 years experience. And there's a game to be played, and it's even tougher for us if you're Black, but then if you're an immigrant or you're like a professional abroad, like, a professional diaspora, it's much harder. So I created this My Career Couch to really address that, to help young Black professionals with less than competition and land a job. So stand out in the job market. I do this through my content, tailored services, and my approach really involves a lot of hand-holding, because I just wish someone sat me down and taught me all these things when I was trying to figure it out. So I really need someone to encourage me, support me. I needed my mom, guys. So that's what My Career Couch is just here for, to do that for Black professionals. And you can find me at My Career Couch on Instagram. So, and obviously I'm focusing on creating a brand for career growth because that's what I know. And in doing that, I want to kind of give you, being that I work in HR and recruitment, I want to kind of explain to you how it works on our side, right? On our side, the job search process is a sales process. All of you, all of us, we are all products. Nice, beautiful, creative, valuable products. And you have to sell something. What you're selling is your knowledge, your skills, your experiences. You're selling, that look, I am the best product for this, to this seller, to the buyer. Sorry, you're selling. So you're selling that, look, I am the best product that you need right now. And really, the people that get the job are just the best sellers. That's why a lot of you say that, okay, you get into a job, you're working with someone, they all talk, no action. They were just the best seller at that time, right? So that's what you need to do. We're all selling. And with sales comes marketing. And I learned this thing called the marketing rule of 7. And the marketing rule of 7 is essentially saying, for the seller to buy what you're selling, to buy you, they have to have heard your marketing message at least 7 times, right? So that's a thing in marketing. Unfortunately, I'm not a marketer, so please, marketers jump in and yeah. But anyway, this is how it makes sense to us. There's a marketing rule of 7, right? And across the board, I try to bring out, okay, what are the 7 things that are creating, because you need to create the touch points, right? So 7 touch points. So obviously we've seen your CV, if it's like an application portal, the application questions, maybe, or a cover letter, could have an online profile, maybe LinkedIn, or, if you're e-financial careers, or different ones, but LinkedIn is probably the most popular one. You have to go for interviews. So is it the first screening, second screening, whatever, but that's another touch point in itself. If you've been referred in, you probably have a network behind you, that's good. And then there's the personal brand, right? So there's a reason why I have the brand on top. And I have to say, this is my own theory because there's no scientific research to back it up, but this is how I explain it to myself. So when you apply, right, you're being judged on all of these touch points. So we're looking at your CV. Oh, how good is this CV? This CV is fab, good. Cover letter looks good. Online profile, fab. She looks nice. The interviews, the network, everything is looking good. But as I said, we're judging you on these 1-pagers or these, max 1 to 2 hour interviews. And there's the nerves, there's everything going on, but that's all we have, right? And even if someone refers you, right, we're going to judge you unfortunately, based on the strength of the person referring you. So take it this way. Panache and I are best friends, and then say she tells me, oh, look, a friend of mine wants to come and work with you. So because she's my best friend, she knows me, she knows I'm no nonsense, she knows what I'm looking for. That's, Panache is referring her friend. And then you have on the other hand, someone who I've never met who just sent me a random message on LinkedIn. Oh, hi, I'd like to refer my friend. the chances of me going to Panache's friend, because she's my best friend, much higher, right? So we're projecting how we feel about you, how, the strength of your referee's connection with us on you. So, just a lot of projection. So when you hear, don't take rejections personally, that's kind of where it comes from. So sorry guys, I'm just giving you some backstory. So the reason why, again, I have personal brand at the top is because, as our good friend Uncle Jeff says here, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. So we've gone through all this, CV looks great, referral person might be strong, but in the end, when we're making these decisions, right, maybe we spend a few minutes we go through everything as a whole, and then there's a feeling, an emotional connection, there's something you've left behind. So that is essentially your brand. Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And, in my opinion, that's the final nail in the coffin, if you would like. So issue your values, your goals, your purpose to meet the employer that's essentially trying to buy, right? And, we hear so much about branding these days, but I had to find my why for me. So here I'm saying, why do we need a brand? Honestly, I had to find my why for me. So if we flash back to 2018, when, I was fresh off the boat from Nigeria, struggling in the job market, struggling to land any opportunities, just really struggling. I revisited my marketing rule of 7, and I was like, you know what? All of these might be working, but I'm not leaving a lasting impression on anyone. There's no one to fight for me. There's probably, as I said, I had no network. I'm just coming here. So there's probably no one that's going to say, okay, this is my person. So in doing that, I just said, okay, why do I need a brand? I have to find my why. So my why is, why am I doing this? I thought to myself, at least 80% of employers in this country, they use social media. In Nigeria, it's not as big, right? So 80% of employers in this country, they're using social media to screen candidates, during the hiring process. So in one glance, I need someone to be able to understand. I needed to clearly communicate who I was and what I could do to stand out to prospective employers, right? I wanted to differentiate myself, bring something unique. I wanted to set myself apart. There are so many people going for the same opportunities as I was, but not all of them, probably all of them didn't have a brand. I didn't have a brand, but, I saw young people doing great things. And, I'll be honest, I'm not the smartest. I wasn't good. I don't have any A stars anywhere, whatever. I was okay. I didn't die, I made it out of school. So, but I had something to offer. So I just wanted to differentiate myself from them in that way. I wanted to attract and uncover multiple opportunities, right? I was tired of applying. And then when you talk to people, you're finding out they're attracting opportunities, things are going in their DMs. Oh yeah, somebody sent me this, a friend of mine sent me this. And I'm just like, what am I doing wrong, right? So I wanted these interviews. I wanted these opportunities, these partnerships, these promotions. I wanted them to locate me, as Nigerians would say. But how would they find me if I'm hidden somewhere? So I was like, you know what? I need a brand. And apart from that, I also wanted to motivate and inspire people like me, because I was just tired. I was going through it. I wanted to make this whole thing reachable. I'd moved here. I saw these young people doing great things, and it seems honestly so far-fetched for me. I was like, gosh, like, what are they doing? I go online, somebody's won this award. Maybe she's like 20 years old. And I'm like, what? What? So I wanted other people to look at me and look at it and look at me and be all, motivated as well. So, I had this sense of my ultimate goals. And then I thought about, how do I achieve these goals? How do I get people to help me achieve these goals? Everything just landed on, you have to brand yourself, right? I've been going for webinars, learning, but I just decided, what, that's it. I have to brand myself. When I'm not in the room, I want people to say she's good. She's worthy of she's worthy of this fight. She's making me feel inspired. There's that saying that people forget what you say, but they never forget how you made them feel. So I wanted to leave that feeling in the room. And I have to say this, until you find your why for you, personal branding is just going to seem like that thing that people are saying I need, that thing that we're going for another webinar on. So essentially, I think the key takeaway here is everybody needs to go back and sit down, say, why do I need a brand, right? Why do I want this brand? And the answer is completely personal. It could be money. That's absolutely fine. It could be fame or whatever. It's up to you. So find your why for you. Okay, so that was point 1. I did. Then, I've decided, okay, I need this brand, but what do I want to focus on, right? Okay, I'm making a brand. What am I focusing on? Everything was in my head. And what niche am I carving for myself, right? Because at that time, there were many sides of me. So by when I refer to that time, sorry, it's about early 2019, about April 2019, around that side, because I'd just been fired from my job after 3 months. So I struggled to get this job, went through hell and high water. And in 3 months, I was fired. And even that whole thing was a lesson on branding in itself, because I was so disposable. It was like, whoa, I mean, I work in HR. If somebody's not doing good in probation, we teach them, we extend their probation, but they didn't even care, right? I was so disposable. Plus, I have to say, guys, my work was like admin. I was like scanning and printing papers. So how would you fire me? But anyways, so I was so disposable. No one cared to fight for me. No one cared to look at my case. And guys, getting fired does things to you. So yeah, so I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's gone. On this side, I was learning how to code. I found the whole women in tech thing interesting. I was learning how to code, build websites. I was joining lots of professional groups. So groups like, sorry, I forget their names now. But groups like viSHEbility, I was getting into groups like that, trying to see what other people are doing. And exploring my creative side. I liked makeup, beauty. Guys, I was just all over the place. Anyways, so I was exploring, as I said, and I have to be honest, I fell into this career side unintentionally. I took a course on monetizing your skills, and in doing that, it helped me craft a really organic message that grew into my career couch. Sorry for another day. But, in all of this, I just told myself I need to focus on something, right? Especially now overwhelmed. I need to focus so that it'll be easier for people to understand my message and buy into it. Plus, I read at that time that the best strategy to choose a particular place, the best strategy is to choose a particular place or an area to focus on and then let that evolve over time. So, that's what I did. And in deciding what I wanted to focus on, I had to be really, really introspective. Like, I sat down with myself. I'm like, okay, my friends, guys, how do you describe me? I asked myself, okay, if I wanted to be known for something, what do I want to be known for? What motivates me? What can I spend hours on without getting tired? And, at that time, I remember I said I was learning to code. I was going for classes, I was actually winning awards. Like, I went for this thing called Code First Girls. And my team won the best team website. So, I was doing good with this coding thing, but I was tired. Like, I think I took a course on PHP, 15 weeks. And if there are any women in tech here. So at that time, what doesn't drain my energy? What actually energizes me? What feels the most rewarding? What comes naturally? I was asking so many questions. And I think the most important question I asked myself was, in which area of work do I want to excel right now? And I decided, what? I wanted to excel in HR, recruitment, and making a way for others like me. Right? So I'll leave you with here is ask yourself, what do I want to focus on? And it might take you a while because, everything takes a while. It might take you a while, but it's a question that's worth asking. Right? So be introspective and then choose your focus. Okay. I hope I'm not talking too fast. Okay. Let me pace myself. Okay. Then the third thing I asked myself, right, okay, this whole personal branding thing is cool. I want it. I need it. But who am I trying to reach? And I read something that said, define your target audience into 3 branches, right? Those who will pay you, those who will influence those who pay you, and then those who will support you, right? So you want your voice to be heard, but it has to be heard by the right people. Imagine if I was going on and on about careers and all of this in a group of, let's say, CEOs and ELTs. They're just like, well, we're kind of like at the end of our career, so this isn't for me. So you have to find your people. And those who will pay you, that's your primary target, right? Those are my number 1 priority. So remember that my goal was career advancement opportunities. So mine were, employers, service providers. I wanted opportunities, as I said. So organized societies like viSHEbility, career masterclass. I wanted to get my name out there in front of them. And, those who will pay you, money is good, yes, but there's also payment in cash and kind, aside the, the non-monetary value, I also wanted that. So who are those people? I defined who they were. Those who influence those that will pay you. Essentially, for me, people in industry, thought leaders, people that could earn their trust and fight for me. For example, I mean, I hope so. If at any time, say GS is looking for someone to work in HR, how far? Put me in touch. Let's do this. She's very likely to influence me to influence their decision in terms of, oh, I'm referring this person. If there's a referral bonus, she's saying she's going through that scheme in her office, that kind of thing. So thinking of me now versus me in 2018. In 2018, if I had approached her, sent her a DM, oh, hello, I see you're this person in GS, I'm trying to get there. She probably just sent me a link to the website. Say, okay, that's cool. Apply it this way. But here, she's more likely to maybe find out, oh, who's the hiring manager? How can I do this? So those who will influence those that will pay me, or people in my industry, people in my line of work, people on my level, people who can speak to people on my level, people who can speak to those who hire, it's a very big field. So you define it for yourself. And of course, those who will support you, right? So if you have a shared interest or a common interest with people, that's one of the most authentic and powerful ways to attract people to your brand, right? Plus, they'll give you reassurance. They'll help amplify your message. So, when I was reading the other day what Panache said about me in the group, I'm like, yeah, see, she's supporting me. Even if I was having a bad day, I read that, I'm like, wow, somebody thinks this of me. It gives me that hope to keep going, right? So you have those three branches. And when you do that, you then understand how to reach them, right? So I'm trying to reach these three people, the employers, the recruiters, the professionals like all of you. Where do they hang? Over 80% of recruiters on LinkedIn, you have professionals on LinkedIn. So one of the most important things for me was just making sure my online presence was engaging to these people. So that even if I'm not on the job hunt, at least my visibility is being, gosh, what am I trying to say? I feel like you guys get this. So, even though I'm not on the job hunt, I'm just putting my name out there. Instagram, LinkedIn. And I learned that one of the biggest mistakes you can make when you're building your brand is trying to appeal to everyone. Because there's that saying that if you talk to everyone, you run the risk of talking to no one. Because nobody is sure, is the people, who am I trying to reach? Where can I, depending on the medium you choose. So I imagine if, I wouldn't for one, maybe I should, but I probably wouldn't go to Slack. Because I remember when I was learning, to code and all those things, we're mostly in Slack. So I wouldn't go there and try and, maybe I would, I don't know, but you get what I'm trying to say. So find your people find your people and know how to reach them. Right, so quick recap, we've done, where did I start from? Okay, sorry. So we've done the what do I want to focus on, who am I fab, how do I now create the impact, right? How do I get the brand out there? And I read and I learned that I narrowed it down to three things. One, I'm going to tell a story, right? Because when you tell a story to your target audience, you build that know, like, and trust factor, right? A story that your audience can engage with and they can buy into. And one of the best ways, honestly, to tell that story is through written or visual content. Enter social media, right? This is not the time to sleep on social media. If there's nothing you take away from this, if you're trying to build a brand, just take that one. This is not the time to sleep on social media. So enter social media. And remember my marketing rule of 7, that, trying to create at least 7 touch points throughout the application journey, so throughout the candidate journey, right? With social media, you can literally create the 7 touch points in one day with 10 different people, right? So, you are posting, you're putting yourself out there, you're engaging, someone's asking for your seed. Literally, it's happened to me in one day. I've shared this, someone said, oh, this is really cool. My company is actually looking for this. Can I put you in touch with the HR space of like 6 hours? I didn't take the job because the money wasn't enough. I can do stuff like that now. But, social media gives you that opportunity. And, by sharing content, by interacting with people, engaging with, your prospective buyers. And as you begin to build that brand and put yourself out there, I'd say one thing you should do is create your elevator pitch, because just create that story on who you are and what value you bring to your space. So, at one point, I was meeting all these people, but I was a bit waffly. So I had to sit down and say, okay, this is Tomi, this is her background, this is what she's doing, this is what she's looking for now. Create that elevator pitch really quick, because, people have short attention spans. And, I've really taken the time to develop my brand through my online presence. My profiles, LinkedIn is good. I think it's good. My Instagram is good. I'm definitely telling my story. So the second thing that was very important to me was being authentic, because it will make it much easier to manage your personal brand if you're showing up as you. And I knew that was so important for me because I get stressed really easily. So I couldn't have an alter ego and I couldn't be one person here and one person there. I had to just be me. Right. So when you're doing that, you play to your strengths, what you're actually good at, but show up as you all the time. So I'm just let you know I'm a Nigerian girl. This is my story. This is how I talk. I have plenty for there. You can hear me. You can read it in my captions. This is how I look. People say I'm always smiling. I actually do always smile. My pictures aren't me smiling for the pictures. I smile a lot. Maybe I'm not smiling now because I'm doing it. But I smile. If I ever try to do that whole power boss, sexy face, I can't keep that up. So, I was being me. And I should say this, is very important to create a brand that fits into your daily lifestyle. So don't see it as, so I hope I haven't made it seem like all of this is me creating online. It was me creating me as I go, right? So it wasn't just an online brand of myself, but rather a brand at work and at play with me. So, I might be writing all these things online, sharing out online, but at work, I'm actually volunteering for projects. So, I took upon myself that, look, the graduate scheme in my company is mine, right? Luckily, when I was temping with, maybe I shouldn't tell you so much from it, but yeah, it's mine. I'm owning this whole thing. I'm volunteering for projects. I'm solving challenges. I'm making sure I work well with people. I'm asserting myself as a leader, telling the story of what I'm doing outside work. So that's all part of your brand, right? As Tim says, your personal brand should follow you everywhere you go. It needs to be an authentic manifestation of who you are and amplify what you believe. Because if you don't, it will become a chore. It will become a thing that, someone says I need a brand, so let me create this brand or let me do this extra assignment. But no, make it you. Third thing I did was, look, I have to be consistent, right? And consistency in terms of my approach and my methods. So approach is that my story has to match across all platforms, online and offline. So it helped that I had that elevator pitch. This is who I am. I can never try and say anything that is not true because, it's exhausting, right? So, just be you, be consistently you. And the best way to do this is to consistently create content, one, because, linked to the whole first point of telling a story and being on, social media. My visuals, Mary, I was talking to Mary the other day and she said, once she sees that blue color, my career couch color, everybody says that so that, you've come again with this, you're blue. You come again, it's not blue, guys, it's like teal. So I don't even know how I chose it. I think I spoke with someone and I was like, I need brand colors. And she's like, yeah, go with it. I'm like, cool. And I just went with it. So, that's it. So I'm being consistent and that's me, my brand. If you at the webinar with KUBI the other day, she mentioned something about brand colors, right? So I'm consistent in that as well. And I'm consistent in everything I do. Like, I don't think you see me and see this overly corporate and conservative person who's really closed up, because that's just not me. So I didn't try it for one day. And then read the methods. I'm not saying show up every single day in your most, 100% person, but, promote your own work. When I'm working on people's LinkedIn profiles and I'm typing out, they're telling me all these great things they've done, and I'm typing out, their about section, adding their accomplishments, and it's always like, oh no, that's too much. I'm like, too much for who? Promote your work consistently, regularly, right? Whenever you're online, be consistent with the perception you want to maintain of yourself, right? So, this is who I am, this is what I'm giving to the world, and just always let that come through, right? So that was the third thing I asked myself, or that's what you guys should ask yourself, right? How can I create this impact and make myself heard online and offline? These three were my own ways when I was starting out, and it could help you, but if you have something else, that's absolutely fine. Right, so I did all of this, and, and I don't know if I know some of you were at the webinar with KUBI. So KUBI has been my, I've gone to all her webinars because I was really trying to learn this whole personal branding thing at the time. So I went to KUBI's, I listened to KUBI speak, and she gave us this 8 pillars of branding. And again, they really helped me. So what I would say is use these as your launch pad and also use them to regularly audit yourself. So it will make sense in a second. So for the vision, so the vision in what I'm doing, why do I do what I do? Because people will buy into your why first and foremost. So no matter what I deliver, my why remains the same. And I regularly check my vision and ask myself, What am I trying to achieve? Is this taking me in the right direction? So, Mary could reach out like, okay, come and do this work. And she said, I'm always supporting. Girl, you fall into my target audience. I will always support you if you don't have adjustments, right? So what am I trying to achieve? Is this taking me in that direction? Because I've definitely been approached for opportunity at the start, right? I was saying yes to everything because I was really desperate to get my name out there. But now, okay, then the vision was getting skewed and I was just all over the place. And one time I was sharing about my coding journey and my tech journey, and I was getting all these messages from people in the US and I'm like, oh my God, I'm really sorry for making it seem like I want to get into tech, and coding is absolutely amazing, but not for me right now. So, what am I trying to achieve? And is this taking me in the right direction? So that's how I understand the whole vision thing. And let me just say this here. This is how I listened to KUBI's 8 pillars and made them work for me, right? So you might go for her webinars and she'll teach you a completely different way. That's absolutely fine. She's the owner of this. This is just how I owned it and made it my own, right? The second thing she mentioned is decision. So in living out my vision and living out your vision, be prepared to go through tough decisions and easy ones as well to get to where you want, right? Even when you don't know you can, even when you're afraid. Look, before I shared my first ever post, before I decided to brand myself, before I realized that, I can do this thing, I was scared, right? Even before I go on any webinar, I've done a few now, but before I go, I'm always like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this again, the imposter syndrome and everything. And you still go through that fear every day. But I've decided that, look, I need to get to so-and-so place and I need to do it afraid, right? In one of her webinars, KUBI mentioned that, when we used to watch Tom and Jerry back in the day, and there'd be like the good angel and the bad angel and telling them what to do. So that's real life. You have the good one saying, you are confident, you can do this, you deserve it because this is you, and you're the best thing since sliced bread. And then you have the bad angel that's telling you, you're afraid, you're a fraud, you can't do this, you're not from here, what are you saying? Sometimes I get invited to speak at stuff and I'm like, can I actually talk here? All these people, they grew up here in the UK, and, what if they don't believe me? What if they have another way? But as she said, there's both of them within us, and who you feed will win. So I just keep feeding my good angel. I'm like, yeah, even if they don't know what I'm saying, I'm going anyway. I've been invited. They've seen something in me, so I'm just going to put myself forward at work. They could have all of these opportunities, and I'm like, oh, what if I can't do it? What if this? And my good angel is saying, what's the worst that can happen? Keep going. So that's how I make the decisions, right? So in terms of clarity, I decided, okay, let me clarify what my brand represents and how to communicate it. So I regularly take stock. I clarify my purpose, my strengths, my weaknesses, my threats, because, obviously everybody's in this game now, my message, and I just refine what I'm putting out in the world. Anything that I no longer see myself as, I cut it away, right? Strategy is in terms of, okay, so what am I actually going to do? Because as KUBI taught us, this should come first. And I'll be very honest, I didn't always know that. I just learned to just keep doing, just jump in. But actually sit down, define your goal, define your long-term objective, your what, and then always ask yourself, why do I need to do this thing to achieve the vision before jumping straight in to your tactics? Because tactics is number 5, right? So your tactics are actually the day-to-day steps, day-to-day activities, right? So many of us, as she said, we jump into doing the tactical things. Oh, let me build my website. Oh, let me post on social media. Let me volunteer to speak at this webinar. So it can be seen I'm doing something. But if you don't define the strategy first, it's like stabbing in the dark, right? You just get 0 results. So do the groundwork first, and then you know whether or not you've chosen the right tactics. So number 6, she says it's very important to measure your results and track the success of your personal branding efforts. Basically, data should be driving your decisions, right? So how do I know it's working? I know it's working because look at how Mary described me, that I just came from nowhere. So that means it's working, right? I wanted opportunities. I wanted to get my name out there. Today is my 20th speaking engagement since I started taking my brand seriously. And that just, I cannot fathom that, because it's like, whoa, really? But yeah, 20 people, 20 events, right? So like hundreds and thousands of people, I guess. So, since I started taking it seriously, my social media influence is growing. I'm getting referred for opportunities because that's what I wanted. As I said, I haven't applied for a job since But yeah, I haven't applied for a job for a while. They just keep coming, right? I'm being sought out, even at work, as a problem solver. Recently, I delivered a presentation to the CEO and the ELT for like an initiative, and literally my team member was the global head of HR, and she's even based in Singapore. So literally, I was the leader of that team, and it's been really hard. It took me a while to talk to them because I'm like, how am I leading you guys? But you see, and I was nominated for this. Well, I say nominated, but they kind of said it and look like, yeah, I'm taking it. But that's what I'm trying to say is, what am I saying? I'm really sorry. Metrics, yeah, measuring my results. So this is how I'm measuring my results, showing that it's working. All of this did not exist a year ago. All of this, yeah, because really I started taking it seriously in March of 2020 and stuff like that. So, all of this did not exist a year ago, but data is driving my results. I'm seeing that this is working. So the things that are working, I'm amplifying them. The things that are not working, I'm kind of like suppressing them, kind of thing. Number 7 is ownership, right? So ownership for me is getting rid of imposter syndrome, knowing that, look, my true worth and value is within, and I deserve it because, quite frankly, I'm a badass. I'm working for it. I'm like, the employer that honestly trampled on my confidence is a liar. I'm standing in my true value, feeling really confident to go for opportunities that I want. So in the workplace, I'm asking, I'm negotiating, I'm speaking up, I'm just really owning my truth. But that's because, as I said, I've done all the groundwork. I have the vision, the decisions, I have the strategy, the tactics. This is why I'm owning everything and just making it as a whole for myself. And, she said something, which is point 8, is be unapologetic, excuse me. And she also mentioned your difference is your strength, right? Your authentic truth. So in this whole personal branding thing, the people that are trying, the buyers, so I was mixed up these things. So you are selling your skills. Yeah. So the buyer, right? The employers, at least for me, they're bombarded with so many options, right? So this could be my own brand, this career person helping all these people, HR lady, recruitment. Someone could be, literally, she can fly in space, she can do this, she can run through fire, so everybody has something that they're offering, right? So what is your unique value proposition? What is your UVP? And as she says, she being KUBI, it is your difference. And honestly, mine is my background, right? So the couch is geared towards Black professionals. I'm bringing, professionals in diaspora, professionals abroad, immigrants, Nigerians, Africans, the way we talk, the way we reason is really different. So I'm bringing that perspective and I'm owning it, right? There was this thing that was going on at work, and then my manager nominated me to lead on it globally. And because they needed, the deadline was really tight. And she said, yeah, on a call with like so many people, she just go, yeah, I think Tomi should lead it. She's very firm and no nonsense. And we need her right now. And we know that that's the Nigerian in me, right? So, and another thing is that as a Nigerian, we value family so much. This whole independent life is not for us. And because of that, I just hate to see anyone down. I just can't do it. So at my last organization, BA, I was just looking to help those who were slipping through the cracks. I treated everyone as, they needed me. And because of that, I won 2 awards. So one for my customer service, and one for my data security and helping someone go through something, because that's my authentic truth, and that who I am is, I feel like a better word, man, I'm kind. So yeah. So another part of being unapologetic is that there will be times when life just kicks you and you feel like no one understands your brand, and even you don't even understand what sets you apart. Being unapologetic is how you show up in those really tough times, right? It's one thing to say, oh, I'm strong and I'm resourceful and I'm a team player, but it's actually another thing to demonstrate it if you're sure that, that's who I want to embody. So that's another thing, being unapologetic. And yeah, so I didn't realize how short and sweet this would be, but we're nearly done. I'm pretty much done. So I think in summary, I need everyone to realize that you do have a personal brand, right? You do. So when I got fired, I did have a brand. So the brand was that girl that nobody cares about, nobody really needs in this office. If there's a brand, everyone has a brand. When you leave the room, we know what we're saying about you. Honestly, I've been in rooms where we say, well, she wasn't really memorable, or she didn't really sell her what's that famous word? She didn't really sell her motivations for the role. She didn't really sell her values. She didn't really sell what she can do, So you all have a brand, we all do, but you should all influence it, right? You should build it. And in doing that, as I did, if you don't know where to start, decide on what you want to focus on, decide on what you want to be known for. understand your target audience. So your 3 people, who's going to pay me, who's going to influence those that pay me, who's going to support me in this. And then start creating that positive impact. And really your first point of call should be social media. Because as you start, because look at this quote now. I saw this quote by Justin, it's really great. And he says, the future belongs to those who build online. If you don't own a slice of the internet in the next 10 years, you're at a severe disadvantage. Believe that, guys. And then as you start and you build, audit yourself using KUBI's 8 pillars to building a successful personal brand. Because again, that's what I did. KUBI is a powerhouse on her own, so you can also contact her to help you build a brand if you need that. So yeah, cultivating a personal brand is so important. It's too important these days, much more important than ever, because it's your own unique identity. It's the top of the pillar. What happens when you leave the room, right? And you should be able to clearly communicate who you are so that your clients, your employers will know how you stand out, right? If you aren't managing your brand, you run the risk of losing out on a lot of things. And I've been there, so I know. And that is it. You can connect with me in all these ways. My Instagram is there, my website. I have to say my career couch is a one-woman thing. I am just trying to keep my head above water. So if you go on some of these things and you don't see anything there, I'm doing my best. But that's it from me. Thank you. 6:42.
Yay! It's a virtual class for Tomi. That was really awesome. I love when people can tell their story as a presentation. I find it the most challenging thing to do. I'm always like the one who just does like point 1, point 2, but actually being able to weave your entire story into like bullet points and presentation is so awesome. So virtual claps, guys. Looking at the chat.
Thank you.
So if you appreciated that, if you enjoyed Tomi's authenticity and honesty, just sharing her journey, and how she kind of focused on it. Not many people come on the chat and say, look, I was fired. And I think those are the kind of like the major authentic stories we like to hear, because everyone always paints, all our parents were like first in class, right? So I'm always wondering who was like before. Right. It's always great when you hear people actually just coming to just tell their truth and say, like I got fired. I posted something on social media the other day and I said, actually I was fired from my first job. And it wasn't even, I was like, me too, girl. I was like a cashier in a store. It's like, how basic could that job have been? But I was still fired, as in me now, executive director at major, US bank, but I was fired from like a store, and pretty much almost like a $1 store, right? So just, let's just put that into perspective. Honestly.
Girl, I feel you. I was saying, my role was HR admin, but this is the first time I've seen them take the admin side of HR very literally. Yeah. Literally come to work, it was like 100 papers to scan. And I'm just like, okay, I'll get on with it. And even in my feedback session, I was like, huh? What? And then someone said, yeah, we never see you. I'm like, okay, no problem. So yeah.
Really, really, really enjoyed that. I think it's amazing actually, because we've been talking about, we set up our whole schedule for 2021 back in November, and so we had branding, visibility, and stuff for this month, and then career masterclass came up with, and I'm really close to Bukola as well. So I was like, oh, fantastic! So it just basically seemed like the whole month we're all like in sync in the month. And I couldn't join KUBI's event, but I listened to the recording today, and I was just like, okay, this was a fire session. So all of the 8 points she mentioned, and also particularly when she talked about like the various like brand identities,
the archetypes, right? Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. Amazing. So if you're not, I know you have to be a member of Career Masterclass to get access to these events and get the recordings and stuff. So if you've not joined Career Masterclass, definitely I would highly, highly recommend. In the end, like ultimately the field is very wide, very green. There's a lot of work that needs to be done as it relates to, professionals in the BAME community, in the Black community, in the female community, whatever it is. And we're all kind of all supporting each other in our work. So please, engage a Career Masterclass if you have not. Check out honestly, KUBI's, I I can't explain too much. Like I was literally writing notes on a Sunday afternoon lying in bed, but definitely.
Yeah, I'm listening to her speak like.
It was a great session on branding, and she's like.
When I was trying to make sense, amazing. Yeah. She's amazing. She's really amazing.
She's great, yeah. And she's worked with some of the
best
brands like in the world.
Biggest brands.
It's awesome that she's then like taking that, written a book, and she's kind of coaching us on like how to basically do that in your career. So guys, absolutely. I'm looking at the chat now. If you have any questions, please drop it in. But I would ask one question whilst you're waiting for more questions to drop in, and I think I have seen a couple at the top, so I'm also going to scroll back, is how do you go about building a brand when you are multi-hyphenate? So say you are like, you're working and then you have this other thing. So, I mean, I struggle with that, and I don't know if you do as well. I find like I end up talking so much about viSHEbility, like especially like on my LinkedIn and whatever, that I really rarely talk about the actual job that I do at Goldman. You know, but it's really a weird one. So sometimes I always wonder, like, should I actually be in the fact that I am a risk manager? So like at the start, you talked about your three audiences, and I think you mentioned like the ones who pay you, right, being like one key audience. And I was like, okay, well, how do you marry it when you're like, you have a job that pays you, and then you have this passion that is paying you somewhat, but it's not really, because you're kind of still driving it on a lot of heart rather than kind of the monetary side.
I think that was something I was very concerned with in the beginning as well. And then I read this quote that said, never attach yourself to a job, right? Attach yourself to your calling. Because as we can see with COVID, these jobs, they could, overnight, you can literally lose your job, right? And then unfortunately, that would mean a part of you is getting lost. So what I had to really understand what defines me, right? What cannot be taken away from me? And then I had to bring both together. So I think mine is a bit easier in terms of, okay, I'm doing careers, helping people get jobs, and you know, my 9 to 5, I am an HR person, helping, you know, recruiting and all of that. So first of all, I found the common ground in both. But as I said, the most important question I ask myself is, what do I want to excel in right now? And what I want to excel in right now is making a name for myself, not my job, at least not at this time. Right? I could lose that, as we know, we could lose that job tomorrow, and then what happens to everything that you was trying to sell? So being a risk manager, right, is part of you, fair enough. But Goldman, you know, wherever you work, is not part, it's part of you, but that one can go, right? So focus on, don't have to, you know, I wouldn't say, I guess it's probably the 50-50 somehow, but focusing on your calling more than anything. That whatever happens, this is going to remain with me. I would say focus on that one, because I try and find the quote again. It's like, don't ever attach yourself to a job, attach yourself to your calling, your vision. So decide, what do I want to excel in my life, and then try and push that one forward. Find ways to weave your job into it. That's absolutely fine. But you could decide next year that, look, I want to do a career change. So are you going to start looking for new, you know, I don't know, new content, new impact, new people trying to, you know, network with and stuff like that. But if you attach yourself that, look, I'm trying to increase the outcomes for women in the workplace. The workplace can be anywhere, right? So this is my job, but what I'm about is increasing the outcomes for women in the workplace. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. And I guess in general, like, the way I've tried to navigate it is like, I focus on my visibility as a risk manager internally. And so I'm rarely talking about viSHEbility indoors. Like, people can see that I do it. I don't shy away from talking about it, but it doesn't really come up in conversation per se. But if I'm dealing with my business partners internally, I'm more focused on my capacity as a risk manager, my ability to kind of understand transactions and strategize and be commercial and all that sort of stuff. But then once I step out, I just feel like then the world is my oyster, and I'm all for more like my passion.
But the thing is, in doing that, you might be losing out on opportunities internally, in terms of, there might be something that viSHEbility can support with or even lead on the inside. But because you've not shown that, okay, this is the part of me. So I try to find ways to drop it in that, I do.
No, we do that. Like,
exactly. So you're fine.
I mean, to the extent, Yeah, to the extent possible. Like I'm always, I mean, some of my, and I'll share this with you and obviously with the community, right? Like some of my biggest opportunities, my biggest visibility opportunities within an organization actually came on the back of viSHEbility. So both when I was at my previous role, where I was at BAMO, I then became, because when viSHEbility used to just do talk shows, that was one thing that came up, and people caught that, and then I got this opportunity to do this. I basically got called to like interview like our CEO was coming to the country, and they were looking for someone to like spearhead a town hall, and suddenly it was me, this Black girl in the
exactly.
That was not like, oh, okay, she does this anyway, like basically come and do this anchor, and that kind of basically started almost like a media career for me within BAMO, which is interesting. And so I started doing a few of those kind of town hall events, and these like, so whenever executives wanted to communicate a strategic story, I would always be like there. And I just really felt like, someone on like the BBC or just something.
Exactly. So that's good.
Really great. And then obviously like last year when we had Black Lives Matter, I really found like for the first time a serious integration between like the work that I do and the passions that I have and like my place within the organization. I'm extremely vocal about like, the workplace. I mean, I'm always vocal about it, but I just felt like for the first time, it was almost like, okay, like there's no apology for talking about stuff like this. And so I started writing like on our intranet around sort of, racial issues.
Exactly. That's one thing I was going to mention.
Different things like that. Some of the articles that I wrote are actually shared on LinkedIn. I talked about allyship and so many different things that we would just normally like not talk about. Like imagine writing an article like talking about things like tone policing and how Black women are automatically seen as aggressive and how people are trying to control, like people don't hear what we say, but they're always thinking about how we say it, and all those kind of really weird thing about hair and all of that stuff. And like, but finally being in a place where like I felt like people were actually willing to listen to those like things that you just couldn't. That was the first time I really found like a lot of synergy like in my working career. But
exactly. I'm happy you said that because I'm happy you mentioned that. Sorry, I'm happy you mentioned that because I want to definitely encourage everyone to make, as we said, make the brand a part of you online and offline. Your actual identity, your brand from what you're doing at the office. If you have to, then maybe it's time to start reconsidering if this is the place for me. Because it will be, I feel like it will stifle yourself and you would even feel, like, what am I doing here if I can't talk about who I am? And these jobs, they're very fleeting. Look, when they want to cut people, we are very ruthless because, I stay in those rooms. So yeah, never feel like you have to lose that identity.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so there's a great question here that says, if you are at an earlier stage in your career and just want a brand that doesn't necessarily pay, that's an interesting question. Who would be your audience? Okay, let me take that again. I'm not sure that I even understand the question. If you are at an earlier stage of your career and just want a brand that doesn't necessarily pay, who would be your audience?
Who be your? I think it's because I said, find your three people, those who will pay you. But remember, I also said payment doesn't actually have to be in cash, right? Payment is not, I'm trying to make money. Payment is in terms of, payment for me right now is speaking on this webinar, right? Payment for me is having someone add me on literally LinkedIn and say, oh, I love the work you're doing, or I like to connect, or, I'm trying to move into HR. What do you recommend? Payment is just when you define, I think I understand. So when you define what you're trying to achieve, right? Payment is literally actually achieving that thing. Right. So if you're at an early stage in your career, what are you trying to achieve? Are you just trying to get a job? Right. So your recruiters, the hiring managers. So what then you're not trying to do is get visible in these circles. So if any company is, putting on recruitment events, you're going there, you're getting your name heard, you're getting your voice heard, so you're asking questions. Or if you're an early stage in your career and what you're trying to achieve is an internal promotion, right? So who will pay you is your boss, right? Because you have to go into the interview, the performance management room and say, oh, such and such person deserves a promotion. So that's your audience then. So what are you trying to do for her? You're trying to be visible. You're trying to deliver on your tasks, go above and beyond. If you're early stage in your career, What else could you be trying to achieve? So yeah, just what am I trying to achieve, right? And the person who can make me achieve this is essentially who is paying you, right? So before I even started monetizing this business or making it, I feel like I have really just started doing the money side a few months ago. Before that, it was just getting my name out there. So all of you that are following me were liking my content, were reposting. You were all paying me, right? So don't take pay too literally.
No, excellent.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I'm looking through the chat to see. Okay, so there's a question, but this is a while ago that asked, how do you know what you can offer? And I'm trying to pinpoint.
Gotta be really, really, really.
What you were talking.
It's probably, you have to, remember what I said, you have to be interested. Literally sit down with yourself in a quiet room, turn off everything and find out, what am I good at? Let me share the slides again because I had some really cool questions that I asked myself. Why is it frozen? Is it only frozen on my side? It's frozen, right?
No, it's frozen, yeah. Maybe stop and start again.
Okay, I was being silly, but let me just scroll there. So, I had to ask, if you want to know what you can offer, be introspective. So what am I passionate about, right? What unique skills do I have? What do I want to be known for? What unique experiences have shaped me? What drains my energy and what actually energizes me? And I said the most important question I asked myself is, in which area do I want to excel right now? And at that time, I wanted to excel in like my career growth, opportunities, attracting opportunities. So when I found out that this is what I want, then what can I offer to make me that person? So I looked at my strengths, right? I know about this whole recruitment thing. I know career thing. I know how to make it as an immigrant or someone in diaspora. So I started creating content and putting my name out there as that person. So, it starts with you. So what do you, I think that, as I said, that was the most important question I asked myself. What do I want to excel in right now? And I think I saw another question that says, okay, the question said you had many sides to you. Can you reflect all of those in your brand? Well, why would I want to do that? Because there's too much, right? You're just like all over the place. So nobody knows what to offer you. Nobody knows what direction you're going. So as I said, my side, I was learning coding. I was going into hair and makeup. And, imagine if one day I'm sharing about, oh, this is how you build a website. Tomorrow I'm sharing about, this is the best foundation for you. Tomorrow I'm like, oh yeah, I can help you do your CV. You'll probably be like, are you sure you can do that, Steve? Because yesterday we were just talking about lipstick.
Focus, child.
Right? I know that you can definitely you can be everything, but as I said in the beginning, focus on one, push that out, let that evolve. Right. So once this is growing, if I do find out that, okay, I'm noticing that, or maybe in the workplace, women are not, obviously completely fictional, but women are not looking like, on point or looking snatched. So then I can now bring in the makeup side. Oh, this is the best foundation for a long day at work because it's long wear. You don't sweat through it. Maybe just throw those little parts in, but focus and then let it evolve. And then if I did want to maybe go into the tech side, I could then maybe start talking on making a career change. Right? But because I've been talking about careers all this while, I've been talking about building yourself, getting the job, getting visible, building your network. You can maybe even share a story that, oh, I was able to do a career pivot because I did all these things and I built my network. So, you kind of don't want to reflect every single thing at one go. Otherwise, you confuse people. I think. At least that's what I think.
But I guess you don't have to reflect everything because we're so multifaceted, but you probably can do like 2 at a time. So you can find 2 things that maybe correlates that can go well.
Mm-hmm.
And then, that
mm-hmm.
each other. So like as Tomi said, it's not like makeup and CVs may not add up. Except she really finds an interesting story to weave it through.
And shadow on you.
Maybe like dressing.
Yeah.
So she focuses on something like that and then blends that as part of like the whole image. If it's the whole thing about going into interviews and your image to project, and she can link the 2 together on an ongoing basis, but definitely not like to cover every single thing. So I think I'm really focused on careers and women in careers. So it's like through that I can weave my own career story and stuff through the work that I do, and kind of link it together. A good friend of mine, Toby runs an organization called My Bumpy. I talk about her here all the time. So Toby talks about like the whole journey of like women, pregnancy, careers, but she's also like, she used to be a fashion blogger, pretty much still is.
Yeah.
The whole like styling through pregnancy and so on and so forth. It weaves all of that together into like her content, which is great. It seems really disjointed, but it's actually really nice when you see it.
It makes sense, right?
Sense. And the audience that she's serving, interestingly, fashion becomes a problem for them once they start having bigger bumps and so on and so forth. And so she kind of leans into all of that. So a lot of like her content, you know, that she's putting out really has to do with fashion. She works with brands, baby brands, fashion brands. It's actually really interesting to see it all come together. So I think just kind of picking a couple of things and letting it
focusing. Yeah.
So we're coming to top of the hour, but I did want to kind of look through really quickly and see if there are any other really good
questions. One from Melissa.
Yeah, so there's one from Melissa. So like, after the interview, how do you continue to show your brand in the workplace? An interesting question, yeah.
So in the first thing, I'd say, do your work, right? So a lot of people come into the office and forget that there's work to be done, right? So your brand can be, first of all, doing the work, right? You're known as the problem solver, you know, you're taking initiative, you're, you know, conquer what you have been employed to do first before you then try to bring in your maybe unique brand from, you know, that might not be as correlated to deliver this, I deliver over and beyond, right? My 6-month probation, I passed in flying colors, I'm doing this. Then you now see a project, maybe let's say your other brand is on imaging and all of that, you know, all that kind of stuff. So you then see a project maybe on that, and then you can now volunteer, say, oh, I'd love to do this. You bring that in, you know, you create content on it on the intranet, you know, dressing for hot weather, dressing for interviews, stuff like that. But my first thing is always deliver on the job. Make that your first focus, because as we said, the brand is just really what people are saying about you when you leave the room, right? So you now don't want to be the one that, oh, you know, I think she's more interested in what she's doing outside. That's why she keeps making all these mistakes and she keeps doing the, you don't want that to be your brand. So after the interview, continue showing your brand by delivering over and above, first of all, and then volunteering for projects, you know, being the go-to person for help, upping your training and development so that you're constantly upskilling. Those little things that you used to, you know, manage your career essentially.
Yeah. No, excellent. I think the question, Melissa, that you're asking is more around not even just brand building or birthing. I think it's about visibility specifically, which is just kind of like if you've done the right work to build your brand and becoming a person of value, visibility is just the vehicle you use to communicate. That is basically the strategies. I think a lot of people.
There's something you taught me, Mary. You said this. You always say visibility is a byproduct of value. I can never forget that statement.
Yeah, so I always say like visibility.
I say always.
Memory. I'm like, yeah, visibility is a byproduct of value. That sometimes people are always so focused on, I need to be visible, but it's like, for what? That's always the question.
Yeah.
I need to be visible for what? So the whole conversation we're having now about the brand, that is like the piece, right? So visibility is extra important. You know, there's an analogy, well, not an analogy actually, it's a theory called the success pie. Pie being performance, image, and exposure. And, you know, there's basically that there was some research done a while ago. There's a whole book written about it that, you know, your success equation is 10% performance, 30% image, and 60% exposure or / visibility. So what we've talked about here really is around image, is around branding, and, you know, I guess performance and image. And then the question you're asking, Melissa, is really around like visibility and the strategies that you use. So we talk about this. We talk about this in the 6S program that we launched a few weeks ago, but I was going to share sort of one slide from that whole topic is like, in terms of in the workplace, things that you can actively do to keep your visibility up is obviously number one is focus on your value. What do you bring to the table? What do you represent? you know, what is that,
Yeah.
what is that good memory that you leave, you know, with your business partners, with your bosses, with your teammates? You know, that what is, are you executing on your job? And then on top of that, what else are you known for that people have a, you know, have a very good emotional connection to? When they think about it, they think positively about it. So that is your value. And that encompasses all your strengths and so on and so forth. Then, you know, once you can get that down, then, you know, talking about what you actually do is so key. There are many people who want to be visible, but they don't actually know how to talk about what they do. So it sounds like a very basic point, but talking about what you do, telling people what you've done. And I always say, like, the key thing when you are telling people what you've done is always like, you know, tell them what you've done, first of all, tell them why you've done it, tell them how you've done it, and tell them how it is the solution to their most desperate problem. So like all of those things need to be sort of in that pitch. Is like people want to know, they just don't, people don't just want to know like what you've done, but like, you know, the why, the how, and why they should be there. I think that's the key thing. So once you've created something, the next thing is actually tell people about it and help them connect the dots to what you've delivered. Then, you know, like the third piece would be like share your story, like, you know, weave your journey, how you came here. So for you, Melissa, coming back from maternity leave, coming, you know, in a pandemic, getting a job, all of that stuff is all part of your story, and everything that came before. You know, train your colleagues, write articles, be a thought leader in the organization, so on and so forth. And then the fourth thing would be really about collaboration, you know, working with people around you, letting people know, like, you know, and expanding your platform. We call it platform in the office, but that's really like saying, like, I sit in London working on a project with somebody in America. It just means like now that American team now knows about me where they may not have known before, so on and so forth. So collaborating and working with people will definitely help you, you know, spread your tentacles. And I think the fifth thing I always say is like, do it in community, right? Like, so join affinity networks, volunteering groups, whatever it is that just helps you kind of spread your message much quicker, much more exponentially. So join communities, obviously you're part of viSHEbility, Career Masterclass, whatever it is. So both internal and external networks will be great in kind of helping you shape the story you want to tell and making sure like you're getting the most ROI for every time you tell it. So better for you to tell the story once and tell it to 10,000 people than to tell it 10,000 times. So it's kind of like the general gist of it. So that's like a little snippet of one of the classes that we have in the Success Program where we talk about viSHEbility. So hopefully that kind of helps that journey. And it looks like we've covered all of the—
And then just to add on to that, Mary, quick one, and then remember to always stay authentic with that, right? Because just as you said, a lot of people want to do that whole, you know, branding in the workplace, viSHEbility in the workplace, and then you then start playing just a whole other game with yourself. You know, you're not playing to your strengths. You're not doing things that just drain you, right? You're doing things just because you want to be seen, and then not because you really value this. So try and remember that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just a great addition.
Awesome. No, fantastic. So we're taking an extra 10 minutes. You know how we always go over time in this place. Just
thank you, everyone.
But well, guys, virtual claps again just for Tomi. Thank you so much. So appreciative. Congratulations on 20.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad that we could be number 20. That's phenomenal. So I love a good round number. So like, I'm really excited that we made it to 20. I think if we're 19, I might be a little bit upset, but 20 makes me feel very good. Yeah, so ladies, I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you're taking something really good out of it, and it's helped you kind of think, you know, giving you some tips to kind of think through your brand and how you can shape your brand and how you can, you know, focus on value, and then, you know, kind of then give visibility to this great brand that you're building. Always remember, like, whether you think you have a brand or not, you actually do. As long as someone can have a thought about you, it means like you're leaving something behind. So it's very important that you are thoughtful about that brand, you know, from the get-go. Like immediately just really think, what is the impression I'm leaving? What is the feeling that I'm leaving with whoever encounters me, what is that thing that they're taking away? And that's really what they're going to remember you by. There is a very, very famous quote who I think is from Maya Angelou, which says, like, people don't always remember what you do or what you say, but always remember how you made them feel. And that's effectively what branding really is. If in that time personal branding was a thing, she probably would have said that's your brand, but she was basically saying, people remember how you made them feel. So I hope you guys enjoy creating, and as KUBI said in the thing, birthing an authentic brand that is one of value, and that really helps you connect to the audience that you really want to, and that would serve you and help you serve them. So with that, thank you all, ladies, for joining. Have a fantastic rest of your day and a great week. Thank you again.
I hope it was helpful.
People are asking for the presentation, Tomi, so I'm not sure if you're willing to share.
Really?
Yeah, there are a couple
of... Okay, I guess so. All right, so yeah, so yeah, okay, I'll email it to you and then you can send me out.
Fantastic. So we'll disseminate once we get it from Tomi. But thank you all so much and have a great night. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks, Mary. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you. Thanks, Chichi. Bye, guys.